Hey everyone, it's Michael Kikle. I hope you're doing well today. I have a review here for another Dragon Ball Z movie. This time, though, it's a TV movie, one that went straight to TV, I assume. I've had this VHS since I was probably 7, 8. It came out in the 2000s here. I think it came out in like 1990 in Japan. So this was like the same year as World's Strongest, which is movie 2, Tree of Might, which is movie 3, and technically this is movie 4. And I think the next real movie 4, which is Lord Slug, came out like a few months after this. So Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball in general, if you were a fan in Japan, this was the time to be a fan with all the stuff that was coming out back in the day. It's pretty awesome, man. Anyway, today we're talking about the 48-minute long Dragon Ball Z Bardock, the Father of Goku movie. And like I said, I have this on a VHS tape. I watched it, it still works, and it still looks really, really good for the most part. Now, the TV movies, we have 2 of them, really, because this review series, like I said, is not going to be focused around the TV shorts. Like, I think there's like a 15-minute short or a 10-minute short. I think there was another one later on that brought back Bardock before Dragon Ball Super was a thing and Battle of Gods was a thing. So I'm not going to talk about stuff like that. Maybe I'll make a future video about those if I cover each of the series and rewatch them and whatever. But for now, with these movie reviews, probably not going to happen. Bardock, the Father of Goku, though, has the same issue that the other TV movie from Z happens to have, called History of Trunks. Both of them are good movies. I think this is an excellent movie for the most part, despite a few handfuls of issues. It's not perfect, but I think it's mostly due to this is clearly supposed to be an hour long and they had to chop it down for commercial breaks. That's clearly what the issue is. They have choppy editing and pacing to both movies, this and History of Trunks, and I think no one can watch either of those, no matter how much they love them, and ignore that and say that that's not an issue. They clearly are. Especially when you watch them in, a marathon with something like Dead Zone, World's Strongest, Tree of Might, Lord Slug, Broly, so on and so on. Those all feel, since they went to theaters and didn't have to cut down for commercial time, they feel like real movies. They feel like from beginning to end, real, actual, intense sometimes, and fun, most of the time, movies. Bardock, the Father of Goku, is a very serious film from beginning to end. It's a dark movie, too. I would argue it's the most grim, dark movie the Dragon Ball ever put out, maybe even the most grim, dark thing Dragon Ball ever put out, aside from, like, Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, which has moments of levity. This does not have any of that. This is, again, from beginning to end, a very serious, dark film about Bardock, the father of our hero, Goku, from the series. This is taking place and picks up the day after Goku is born, and Bardock wasn't even there for him. He wasn't there to see him or anything. He doesn't have a wife like fucking Dragon Ball Super made him have in the terrible Broly remake. But that's another story for another day. We'll get there when we get there. Bardock is a serious, mean, evil, mean-spirited Saiyan who works for Frieza, just like the rest of the Saiyans do at this time. This is the moment leading up to when Frieza exterminated the Saiyans in fear of them growing too strong and possibly destroying him one day. And so, we follow Bardock and his team, his squad, if you will, who just killed off an entire planet in their Ozaru gorilla forms, and then when they're kind of just chilling out by like a campfire, hanging out on this planet by themselves after they've killed everybody, or at least they think they have, they're talking about the local parts of this planet being allowed to give its people a psychic ability to see the future, whether it be in visions or moments, we're not really sure. And then one of the people they thought they killed gets up out of some rubble, comes after Bardock, tells him, I'm going to give you that ability too, and he jumps over Bardock, hits him in the back of the neck, and causes Bardock to have, after he kills this guy and passes out, to start to have these visions of the future and the doom that Frieza will bring to them, just like they brought themselves to this alien's planet and killed all these people. He tells Bardock before he dies, you can't trust Frieza, he will kill all of you, and now you're going to feel the fear that all of us felt, knowing what was going to happen and not being able to stop it. Bardock, at first, thinks that these visions are just a joke. He thinks, this is some kind of superstitious bullshit. And Bardock is a serious guy. Like I said, he looks just like his son Goku. but his visions of the future are kind of eerie sometimes. And let me tell you this too. There's this kind of gloom and tone that hangs over this movie, drapes over it like a blanket almost, that as you watch it, you can't help but get a chill every once in a while, especially in the finale of the movie. It always gives me a chill. Every time I watch this film, I think it's the first truly great Dragon Ball Z movie. Even though it's not a theatrical release, obviously, it's still magnificent. Not perfect, but magnificent. The editing and that choppiness of some of the pacing, yeah, that's an issue. It gets in the way of the film, and I think it harms it. I notice it a lot less when I was a kid versus now as an adult, but every time I've rewatched it since I became an adult, you can really tell that there are issues with the pacing on this. But out of this and History of Trunks, the pacing is better here. And I think overall, I love this more than the 3 previous movies, Tree of Might, Dead Zone, World's Strongest. I think this is the best of all of those first 4 movies. It's iconic. It is absolutely iconic. If you ask anybody my age that knew Dragon Ball, they will tell you that Bardock, the father of Goku, is one of their absolute favorites. Whether they've seen it recently or not, when they were kids, they probably adored this, because most people I know did. Dragon Ball Z, the Bardock, the father of Goku, that darkness to it is such an eerie atmosphere that builds and builds as Bardock begins to realize these visions are probably going to come true, and we, the audience, know they will come true. He never gets to meet his son Goku, really. He never gets to really spend time with him. Goku is a baby, like I said. Born the day before all of this happens, and this film takes place. Bardock is not so much a loner, but he becomes that eventually, because when he keeps trying to warn everybody that Frieza is on his way, he's going to come kill us. I'm telling you, I'm seeing the future like that planet down there told us, and he's going to kill us. And Bardock tries his best when no one else believes him to try to stop the evil monster that is Frieza. And dude, again, if you don't get chills watching this movie, there's something wrong with you. The music is really good in this film, too, for the TV movie. It's not the best. I really think they get amazing when they get to Lord Slug, and they use actual soundtrack music from people like Drowning Pool and Disturbed, because Stupefy is in Lord Slug, by the way, in case you haven't seen that movie. But Bardock, the father of Goku, is a chilling entry into the franchise, and apparently, if I haven't said this already, it's Toriyama's favorite Dragon Ball Z movie, or Dragon Ball movie, from what I understand reports to say. And I understand why. This is a creepy movie sometimes. The art style, by the way, is amazing. It's smoothly animated, and it looks like Dragon Ball Z. I know I said that a little bit about World's Strongest and Tree of Might, kind of having that look to it, mainly World's Strongest more than Tree of Might. But this is really the moment. Even though this film is very dark, and Dragon Ball Z has a lot of levity and jokes to it sometimes, whether it be in the show or the movies, not so much the case here. This is a very dark movie, but that art style looks like Dragon Ball Z. It's a badass movie, despite the editing issues and the choppiness. The pacing problems are there, but I don't think they harm the overall story and how amazingly well told it is for the most part. In essence, in moments, an iconic nature, I would say. There are shots and scenes that I will never be able to watch on a YouTube clip or a drop-in the midst of a video or something on YouTube and not be able to think about this film. If I hear the word or the name Bardock, I think about this movie and that ending final 5 minutes or so with the showdown between Bardock and Frieza in space. All of that stuff is just so magnificent, like I said. Bardock, the father of Goku, is a hell of a movie, and if you haven't seen it before, and you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, you owe it to yourself. Do not go by the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. Don't go by that shit they put out, where they basically remade this movie. Toriyama loved this film. I think he thought he could better it by doing that. I think that movie, I have a lot of things to say about it. I have not watched it since it came to DVD, so I will talk about that on my second rewatch for that movie when I come to reviewing these for you. But I do not like the fact that they eventually remade this film to quote-unquote make it canon, which didn't matter to me. This film could be canon, whether you're a Dragon Ball Z fan or not. Whether you love the show and think the movies can't happen and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, if you're one of those canon obsessors, this film can happen, and it was great, and there was no point to remake it for Dragon Ball Super. I think it was a terrible idea, and I'll stand on that hill until the day I die. Anyway, Dragon Ball Z, Bardock, the father of Goku. Have you seen it? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear all of your thoughts about it down in the comment section down below. When you were a kid, just to prove my point, did you think this was one of the best movies in the franchise? Put it down below. I want to just prove a point to people who don't believe that. For people that were my age back in the 90s watching this, when it came to I think when it came to the US, it was in the 2000s. Maybe the late 90s, I don't know. But anyway, it was quite a while after Japan had already seen this, and it was awesome. It was absolutely awesome, from the music to the art to the style, the darkness, all of it. Dude, it's such a great movie. Anyway, check it out. Thank you all for watching, guys. Put all your thoughts and comments down below once again. God bless you all, and goodbye.